Good morning, everyone. 52 minutes after 9 on this Friday Eve. How's everybody doing? Wave meteorologist Brian Good. Welcome to Snow Talk, Wave weather blog on this Thursday. Good morning to Kevin. Bots, hello to Les. Good morning. Oh, you're saying good morning, Les, to everybody else. Good morning to you as well, Les. Saying hi to Tim and Weather Geek and Morgan. Les is on it today. Hello, Blue. Who was first today? I didn't see Carrie. Ann was first on X, and Les was first on YouTube. All right. Where's Carrie at? Is Carrie okay? Someone check on him. Michael, I need a touch of sun, please. Well, yeah, you probably have to wait until Saturday afternoon. It's about the earliest to see any sun. Good morning, Wyatt. I hope all is well, my friend. Hello, Blue, Olivia. Been to New York City already, Olivia. All right. Good to be back home. All right. Glad you're back home safe, Olivia. Hello, everyone. All right. So a lot to cover, obviously, still. For the short term, we got two systems that will be rain and some cases some thunder, but I still do not see any type of severe concern here with that. It's good. We like to keep the drama down here. And as we get down the road, obviously, we get into the colder setup, which leads into the potential for any snow chances, which we will cover, I promise. But first, let's get right into the snowboard, which not a whole lot of change here. Still relatively low-end snow chance that shows up roughly Thanksgiving into that weekend. I'll explain where we're at with that and where the data stands today and our confidence on that setup playing out. And then the next signal would be will likely warm up after that. So the next one should be a rain to snow setup, not just a flat out snow chance. So it'll be a rain to snow, but I'm thinking that's going to be within the first 10 days there of December that we'll be facing that. The storm track is fairly loaded, so there are additional systems that will likely get added to the board, but these are the two right now that I think give us enough of a headache to worry about. So let's focus on those, and we'll take it one step at a time. Fair enough. All right, let's get you outside, show you the gloomy skies. Still some fog in the area, kind of drizzly in a few areas. That has not changed a whole lot, but the change today you will notice this afternoon will be a steadier rain that will soon be developing. If you're in Kentucky, especially south of E-Town, you will likely see a little bit more of that steadier rain evolve today, and then we'll all see it during the overnight and certainly throughout the morning hours. About this time tomorrow, we should have a fairly healthy band of rain in the region, a little bit of thunder as well into the mix. And that looks to be the max point will be tomorrow morning, as you'll see on Futurecast. All right, we're 47 right now, and we have not moved at all. I'm seeing if I still have that temperature map that I was showing yesterday. I may have taken it out. Let me see. Nope, I do have it. Okay, let me show you the temps in the last 18 hours. 48, then 47. That's since the 3 o'clock news yesterday. 1 degree movement, which I believe if we were to hold at that, it would be up there in the record books for the smallest change we've seen in the temperature in the day. It could actually be a steady temp in a 24-hour window. I feel like for some reason that may have been in the records, but I know that at least there was a record indicating a 1 degree change. Now, I think we'll likely see this move a little more than what you see here, so I don't think that record will be today. But it's interesting that, we've been relatively stuck here for a while. Very saturated, Seattle-like, London-like, pick your favorite rainy city, and there you go. You see the radar trend starting to show the rain breaking out back into West Kentucky. Again, spreading eastbound. You can see why it will be mainly our Kentucky counties that will get the afternoon showers that will increase. Indiana, you may get a few areas of very light drizzle. I don't see much of a steady or moderate rain or anything like that for you for a bit longer. Slight delay from Kentucky to Indiana, but still we'll all notice a change as the next 24 hours evolve. The system itself is back to the west, throwing in moisture in our direction. You can see the train of rain all the way through Arkansas down into Texas, and the system is still here into New Mexico near Albuquerque. What is it Bugs Bunny always said? Turn right at Albuquerque. Is that right? Anyway, you got the low pressure moving in. This slug of rain with the actual boundary ahead of it is what's going to just channel in several rounds of showers into the area over the next 30 to 36 hours, something around that time period. So let me walk you through where we are with our in-house model. I think this is fair on how it displays it. There may be some differences on intensity in a couple areas, but I think this is a reasonable setup where the rain, again, spreading across Kentucky, drifting at times into Indiana. We get into the evening. We may see actually a little bit of a break, more of just a drizzly scenario for the overnight. But we get into tomorrow morning, as I mentioned, around blog time tomorrow, we'll likely get into the heaviest of the rain that will surge in with the actual warm front that will move in the area. And this is going to lead to a widespread moderate rain, maybe even heavy rain for another lunch period tomorrow. Take your lunch tomorrow. Take your sandwiches tomorrow to work. Another round of rain coming in, some thunder. Then we get into a questionable period in the afternoon. Do we get into the warm sector? And there's the warm sector on the other side. So here's the warm front stretched across Kentucky. Here's your warm sector down here, south of it. How far north does that push will determine not only our highs for tomorrow, but any thunder chances into the afternoon. This particular model does like to push the warm sector all the way up to I-64 at the very least. Areas in Tennessee, West Kentucky, I think these numbers are too low. You will likely get into the 70s in our southern counties, and could even get a little bit of sun actually in our far southern tier. I don't think we'll get that all the way into Louisville as it stands now, but in our southern counties, you may get some hints of sun, but it would only just boost you up in the 70s. And then the thunder would then begin to pop in reacting to the little bit of cape that we gain a little bit of fuel in the afternoon, tomorrow afternoon. But I don't see as much of a widespread rain threat tomorrow afternoon compared to what the morning and midday will be. It's going to be much more blotchy Friday afternoon, but if you're going to get any lightning and thunder, it would be then. And most of the area, I think, has a chance to climb into the 60s at least. So not a bad setup on temperature tomorrow for a Friday. It's just going to be a messy day again. Again, lopsided early, spotty, scattered, whatever you want to call it in the afternoon. And then we get rid of this steadier rain fairly quick Friday evening, but the drizzle may linger for a while. It's very similar setup that we've had in the last 18 hours where we've had the fog and the drizzle and the misty kind of look. Yeah, that will also accompany this system, just like the last one, when it's in post-production. So as it moves by, we'll end up with that foggy, drizzly scenario that will be a little tough to get rid of. But the difference here compared to what we are facing, say, in a sense, in a setup like today, is we got a drier punch of air that'll move in. So that will help in pushing out the low-level clouds and clearing the sky out. But it'll be a gradual process. Indiana, you'll be first. And then we'll see a general clearing trend and colder back in the 30s as we head into your Saturday night. But Sunday looks good. Any questions on that setup for the weekend, for the first round of rain coming our way for this system for tonight and into Saturday? Any questions? I always can tell you guys are you're just already out talking about the snow. You guys don't care about rain. I know y'all well, but still, there's some people that care about the rain, so that's why I want to cover it. I see you guys are talking all about models and stuff. All right, we'll get into all that. I promise, Cameron, Les, everybody, we'll get into all of it. Just hang tight. There's a lot to decode on all that. We're waiting for the good stuff. Yeah, I know, Ricky. I know. Everyone's waiting for the good stuff. No one cares. No, Crispy. Thank you, Crispy, for asking a weather-related question on rain. No, we're not worried about a severe risk, but some lightning and thunder. There you go. Prelude, wind, not necessarily with this one. I think if you go partly sunny in southern Kentucky tomorrow, yeah, they think the wind is going to naturally just increase, but nothing excessive, nothing it's going to be like, wow, this is a wild gradient setup on wind. It's nothing like that. And I don't see a lot of wind on the thunderstorm side, but if there were any elements of the thunderstorms that fire tomorrow, that would be about the only one. I don't see as much of a hail actually concern as what we did at the last one, but there could be some gusty winds in a few cases. But it's not worth playing up because I just don't see the signal being overwhelming here for tomorrow, which is good. We'll just keep an eye on that warm sector tomorrow and see if we see a trend on how far north it goes. If it gets here a little faster than expected, okay, maybe we'll have a little bit more thunderstorm action in the afternoon, but I'm thinking based on the rainy midday, late morning tomorrow that we'll have, that is going to help us out with only about, if there was any sun breaks tomorrow afternoon, only be about an hour or two at best. I don't think it's enough to make a huge difference. Okay, let's dive into it. So here's the game plan. We'll get into Thanksgiving week. This is the Euro itself. We're going to break this down, and I got several goodies to show you guys for this week here. So coming up, so hang tight. This is our early week system that's going to be rolling on out. Relatively tame, but it's going to be probably the most impactful one. We'll have the entire Thanksgiving holiday period. There will be this early week system that will move in, and still looks like a late Monday arrival, and then arriving in full force Tuesday morning, leaving town Tuesday night. So it's really Monday night, Tuesday night, and then by early Wednesday, we may be in another drizzly kind of setup again, but we won't have anything excessive. So here's Tuesday morning, and you can see the rain arriving, some thunder. No severe signals showing up yet. So far, I still think this is going to be an I-10, I-20 issue if there's going to be any as it stands now. And even there, the signal is not overwhelming. We get into the travel day. Anyone traveling on Wednesday, the travel day? Does anyone actually travel on that day now? Does that still happen? If so, let me know if you're traveling by air or are you driving. Okay? Because this is the way the map will likely look for that Wednesday. If there's any air delays, it will likely be New England, Boston, LaGuardia, Newark may face some delays there due to rain and poor visibility. So they're going to have to space out a lot of the planes and takeoffs and landings in New England and the Northeast. That will create a very congested look to air travel. So if there are any issues in flying here, it would be on that Wednesday. Down to the south, I don't see any major issues right now for Texas into Florida. But there could be a few gusty thunderstorms that may delay things. But as long as we keep the hub at Atlanta relatively quiet, I think that helps us all out. You keep Chicago quiet, that helps in a big way. You keep Charlotte quiet and try to keep Dallas in good shape. And overall, most of the connecting hubs out of Louisville do well then. But once you get into outside of those spots, you may run into problems. Scott's driving to Jackson, Tennessee. All right. Ryan Hoke used to work there doing the weather. Cameron's traveling to his kitchen. All right. I think we all are, Cameron, multiple times. And then to the couch to sleep, and then back to the kitchen, and back to the couch. It's usually how it goes, right? I will be on sunrise, by the way, Thanksgiving and Black Friday. So I will be on early those days. And yes, we will do a SnowTALK on Thanksgiving morning. So make sure to tune in for that. Okay, everyone else seems all right. Everyone's fine. Good. Okay, Nancy, did I get your question? Because I know you were asking about travel, but I don't know if you're referring to that Wednesday or the Thursday. You may be referring to the Thursday. So let me get right into that. Once we get into Thanksgiving, this is the problem we still have is the next little vort that moves in, does it have a chance to slow down and develop into a low pressure or not? Is it move through too fast and it moves on out and it doesn't have a chance to get what we call a surface reflection? So you end up with mainly, in many cases, you end up with flurries and that kind of a setup. But we'll monitor this. It's the Euro is a little more hinting at it, but at the same time, it is a little slower with the cold air pushing in, wrapping in behind it because it's a little more east with the actual vort. But anyway, it still looks like a evolving setup that's very gradual. It's not very rapid here. This is like a late Thanksgiving into Friday, maybe that Saturday. This all takes hold. You can see the Euro wants to develop. This is more of a mid-Atlantic low pressure that forms with maybe a good thumping of snow into the Smokies and Appalachians. Wouldn't that be pretty? But that's much more east than some of the trends have been this week. So that would also keep the majority of the cold attack a little more east too, aiming much more into Ohio and East Kentucky. We would still get cold here, but it would be colder east of 65 than west. And then that system wraps up with that. I mean, the Northeast, I'm sure they're salivating right now. They're snow starved in New England, so they really would love to see something like that roll on by. But anyway, that's their Euro stands on that. And then that's where we stop before we get into a warm front scenario, which will lead us into December. The warm front may have snow on the leading edge, but right now I'm thinking that's going to be west of us and not here. At least the warm front section of that system. Okay, so let's break this down a little more. Let me show you the Euro ensembles. I'm going to go full screen for a bit so you guys can see this stuff because I know you're probably watching on your phone, so it's hard to see. This is the ensemble outlook indicating the potential low pressure location, say, as we head into Black Friday. And the Euro, you know, it doesn't have a lot of, when you have a ton of L's, red L's showing up in one particular spot, especially, that's a fairly high confidence outlook on where that low pressure will form. But when it's one over here, one over here, one over here, and the confidence is not very high. So there's not a huge clustering here of low pressures. And they're all relatively, I would say, tame, about 1,000 millibars. But still, having said that, it's not a full-on high pressure environment. There is still a chance to get a low here to form. So that's the reason why I think this is still open for discussion on getting a system that can react to this cold blast of air moving in and develop on the tail of our front that moves by early week from Tuesday, Wednesday rain. This will be the system that will form basically on the end of that, getting some help with that vort that moves in from Nebraska and slides down and connects to it. That's what we're going to be watching to see if this signal can get a little louder, more congested to give us an idea of where this will form. Will it be in the mid-Atlantic? Will it be over us? Or will it not even form at all? All three are on the multiple choice test here, guys. Looking at the matrix from the Euro, yeah, a little noisy, right? I mean, this is generally Thanksgiving over into the entire holiday weekend and to that following week, really, another system. This is the second one on the snowboard, kind of blending together, but a lot of timing issues here. And that's why they're not, again, what you want to look at here is each ensemble member, and there's 50, how many of them, first off, are highlighted on each row here for a particular date. There's the date there. If they're not all lined up straight up and down above that date identifier, then that means the timing is off. And there's only, I would say, about a handful that like the 28th, 29th window. And the rest of them kind of move on into early December here. Once they start to fill in, then you start paying attention to the colors and the numbers and all that pretty stuff. But until they fill in much more than 50% of them do, you don't really pay much attention to this. And as of right now, I don't think this is enough to get too excited about. But even if we were to see it fill in, it does have a light look to it, not a heavy look. Another way we can look at that is the atmosphere tilted sideways. And you're looking at moisture levels here. And this is very important because this is where we're at down here at the ground. Up here is, you know, where airplanes fly. All right, so we're looking at the atmosphere sideways. When you get into the bluish and purple, that is a high amount of moisture in the atmosphere, the brown obviously being dry. When you connect it all the way up and down, like we have coming our way for tomorrow morning especially, that is a fully saturated environment that usually gets you about a 100% chance of rain. And that's exactly what we got in place in the next 24 hours. So fully saturated atmosphere here as we head into tomorrow and Friday. All right, we get into early next week. You start to see the rain ramp up as we get into Monday, into Tuesday, and then begins to leave us. And then we get another dry pocket, which is trying to show up more on Thanksgiving morning. And then we get into Black Friday and that weekend. What is interesting here is you can get low-level moisture if it's still highlighted in the lower layers of the atmosphere. Usually it's drizzle, or if it's cold enough, you can get flurries. If the moisture is only in the upper layers of the atmosphere, way up high, you tend to get virga, or some cases you can get flurries out of that, but they're less dramatic than the ones that would be closer to the ground. But when you obviously connect fully up and down, then you've got more of a snow shower or even a snow potential that begins to ramp up. And yesterday, I will say it was a little more aggressive with the Black Friday and Saturday window of allowing for more of a saturated column here. The most recent run of the Euro, and this is probably going to keep fluctuating several times the next couple of days, it's not as fully saturated as it was. But this is what I'm watching. You may not see much on the model maps that reflect snow. Some will show up 1 minute, then they're gone the next. But you got to pay attention to what's going on above us. You can't really focus on what is going to make it to the ground entirely. You got to see what the story is going on, and that is what will give you a clue of where things will likely go. And right now, I think we have to hold on to that low end 20% for at least no showers for now until we see a dry signal here. And this is not a fully, full-on dry signal here. If there's any change, it would probably be Thanksgiving, because if this holds and it's relatively dry in the mid to upper layers of the atmosphere and only just low-level moisture, I'm not sure this is going to be enough to get much to form in the form of flurries. It may be certainly on Friday and Saturday, but not so much on Thanksgiving, but we'll see. We'll wait until the midday runs come in and start comparing all the data over the past several days and see if we notice a trend, or is it just wild back and forth? And if it is, then we're just going to have to give it more time in the oven. All right. Here's the GFS ensembles. GFS has 30 instead of 50 like the Euro does. GFS has got roughly 8 to maybe 10 that show some type of system that would give us something wintry in the region. But there are still a lot of them that are not indicating that. They're relatively blank. So same idea here. Once you get over 50%, or at least 15 of the 30, we don't really get too worked up on this until we see that count go up. But this is the best way to tell the storyline as well with the GFS idea. I wish the Euro had a display that was similar to this, but the Euro does not. Only the GFS has a model that looks like this and how they break up the ensembles. But I think this is a good look. But again, we're waiting to see if we get into more of the 15% or 50% of the count on the ensembles. But hey, I got a nice little treat for you guys, because Cameron, the GFS also has a matrix. Don't you love that? Yeah, and this is what it's showing for that holiday weekend. I mean, it doesn't really line up the dates the same as the GFS or the Euro does. I wish it did. It kind of just starts it, and then it holds that number the entire time. So you got to see where it starts, not so much where it's centered, if that makes sense. And a majority of them kind of start basically Friday into that Saturday. But again, you don't have enough to get too worked up on, because you're only at just a handful compared to the 30 ideas that would be possible. All right, so that's the matrix idea. Does that make sense to you guys? You understand all that? I'm hoping to give you guys just a little bit more of the, the behind the scenes look at the data trends. If you're understanding it all, type 6767. If you understand it. If you don't, let me know. I'll try to help you out. Climatology is in your favor for that. Yeah. Snowstorm on January 9th. I have no idea, but hey, if it's your birthday, then sure. Let's go for it. Let's see. It's fun to see, what did you say, Jackson? It's fun to see every single modern ensemble. It says, yeah, it is. It's pretty wild, right? I mean, once you see the curtain being unveiled on some of the models and you see what they're all trying to hint at, then it gets frustrating, because you're like, well, can you not see? Yes, it did. It did. Even though I still have no idea what in the world it means. Anyway, yes. the ensembles, when they really give you the hidden facts and the hidden details of a storyline, it gets fascinating because you only see the one output all the time that most models that you access will show you. But you got to dig deeper, especially in this time of the year. I mean, I don't really go into this, into the weeds here for a summer season or even spring, to be honest. But in the wintertime, you're dealing with so many different layers of the atmosphere that count, that really, really matter. And 1 degree changes it all, that it gets fascinating when you see the different ideas at play and you start to remember situations that were similar to it. And you start to use the experience in at that point of what we've been through and what has happened before. Did it fall apart? Did it not materialize? Did it actually bust in a good way and allow for a bigger event than what was planned? All those things are what we're thinking about when we look at that. So the data is doing what it can, but we have to get interjected into the storyline too and try to decipher it all. So that's where you get the 10-day, which I'm about to show you in a second, of what our outcome is of our thoughts, if that makes sense on that. All right, an update on the it's the dumbest thing I ever heard. Yeah, I don't know what it means either, but I'm just saying it. Anyway, so the polar vortex, so the stratospheric warming, let me go full screen, has started. Hasn't really maxed out yet. It's got some time. The red line, if you see the drop that happens there, and again, that's where the wind is relaxing dramatically now into the Arctic. And the green is the forecast still to keep dropping as we head through the next week. We'll wait and see what kind of reflection we get down into the lower layers of the atmosphere to allow for a more frequent attacks of cold weather to move in as we get into December. I don't have enough data on that yet to really share with you all, but we know the process is starting right now. As I'm talking to you, it's starting, and we'll just see how it trends and ends up as we get into next week. But pretty fascinating to see that it is indeed taking place. One of the earliest we've seen since we've had records being capped, but it's not the earliest ever for sure. But it's certainly not common to see that. Okay, so here's the outlook from the CPC. They actually updated this yesterday. For the month of December, we're going with near or below normal temperatures for the Great Lakes, Midwest, part of the Ohio Valley. That makes sense. Very La Nina look here to their outlook. Same with moisture levels, very La Nina-ish, with a uptick into the Ohio Valley, very similar to what we saw yesterday. So nothing really earth-shattering here, but it continues the conversation that December is going to be an interesting month in terms of wintry weather this year. All right, so here's the 10-day as it stands now. We'll go with 50s today. We'll see how warm we get tomorrow. If we see that warm sector go a little further north, we may end up in the upper 60s tomorrow. Could be a bonus day for some of you in central Kentucky for sure. So keep that in mind. We get into Saturday, again, drying out, and then we'll go with rain and some thunder for Monday into Tuesday. And we'll just go with maybe snow showers at this point with temperatures dropping to 30s. How cold will you get Friday and Saturday? And the models relaxed a bit today on that, but I got a feeling they may come back aggressive again here soon. They're going to fluctuate on the cold attack part of it. It really just depends if the low forms or not. So don't get too worked up on that. Just know it is going to get colder toward the Thanksgiving holiday and that holiday weekend for sure. But I think that's going to be welcomed at the same time because I think everyone's going to be excited to have maybe something festive, flakes flying around as you shop or decorate the home, whatever you got to do. Oh, by the way, send me your holiday decor photos, whether it's your decorations outside or your decor in your home, or it can be your funniest photos you've had in the past at Christmas. Something interesting on the holiday setup. You can send them to me, but use it or send it to me on the Wave Weather app. Good photo of the day is on there. Send it that way. That way it goes right into the system. It's so much easier for me. And you may see it at 3 o'clock. On 3 o'clock every day, we show a photo. I'm trying to show more of the holiday theme ones. So don't post it to me on here. Don't post it to me on Facebook. Don't email it to me. Send it to the Wave Weather app. That really helps. Just kind of a side note. Oh, hey, Les, would you say for once the CPC outlook looks pretty good? Yeah, I think so. I think it's pretty apparent that we're going to see a colder setup here. That's going to be hard because it's a very blocky pattern. We obviously have a warming event in the stratosphere, so all the players are on the field for a wintry setup. It's the finer details that just can't resolve until you get really close, and that is where things get frustrating. But hey, that's why we're here. That's why we're here to talk every day, right? We're here to see where things are going and when a snow chance will ramp up. We're not there yet, but we're watching the game. We're watching the game. Everyone good? I think everyone's good. You guys are still talking about 6-7. All right. I just learned what cap is. That's fire. That's fire, Prelude. That's fire. All right. You guys are cool. All right. I appreciate you all watching. There's quite a few on here. So I'm going to wrap this up. I'm going to get out of here. You guys enjoy the rest of your day. I know it's going to be a rainy setup at times tonight, and certainly tomorrow when I'm on here, we'll have more fun. And we get more long-term data to talk about tomorrow. Oh, isn't that exciting? So I will see you guys with a long-term update coming up on the blog here. Same time, same channel, same stream. Have a good day.